you doing? I thought I'd break things up a bit by reviewing something that's not McFarlane for a second. Actually, I think Cap here is the only non-McFarlane figure I have with me at the moment. That's not true, I've got a Vegeta. But anyway, here is the Marvel Select Classic Captain America. The previews of it were kind of laughable. The photography, or perhaps it was a prototype model, just looked kind of whack, and the proportions were bizarre. But the in-hand pictures kind of sold me on this guy, and I ordered him off Amazon, actually for the sole purpose of recreating the Marvel vs. DC, or DC vs. Marvel, Batman and Captain America fight. That was really the only reason I wanted him to integrate. Whether he was worth it or not for that sole purpose, we'll see, but maybe you'll enjoy the photos afterwards. Anyway, he's got a lot of accoutrements, a lot of accessories here. Almost too many, I would say. My box of bits is about to be overflowing, and trying to find these hands when I've added them to that box is going to be very frustrating. I have a lot of red hands. I guess taking a look at these pieces, they're kind of varying quality. As is the case with Select in general, I would say that some of these open hands look like the fingers are just too small. I don't mind them being inexact. I prefer this sort of modality to Hasbro, where everything's cookie cutter and plastic and fake and crap. But some of these hands just look a bit odd. There are two set of straps here, a belt, which is quite cool, and a shoulder strap for the more ultimate sort of look, and a great hanging cowl. We've seen this with some Legends versions before. The classic first appearance sort of shield, and the two different heads. They're pretty good. I like the hand-painted sort of style of things. I'm just trying to see, would this head look like this when there's a cowl on it? Yeah, I guess it would. Okay, we'll move some of these parts aside now and just look at the figure. Now, I've had a few selects in the past. I have the Ultron, I have the Juggernaut, the Destroyer, and I had for a short time a Titanium Man. And they've come a long way, but in a way, similar to Hasbro, they have not come far enough in the amount of time they've had licenses. And I started collecting a long time ago. It was Spider-Man Classics, but I just kind of missed that wave, and I got the Spider-Man movie figure, which was Toy Biz back in the day. I guess this was, I don't know if this was 2006, something like that. And then I went and got the very first Captain America from Series 1 of Marvel Legends. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm going to talk about, that head. And I still have that figure. I wish I could compare him with this guy. And I also have the more recent, I think, something anniversary Cap. Not with me. But that was back in the day, and those were revolutionary. And I can remember the excitement of seeing these incredible figures with all these accessories and a comic book and sometimes a painted base. Articulation, sculpt, they look like they were hand-painted. They were incredible. And then I'd see at the comic stores the contemporary selects, which were all terrible at the time. And it's funny because you can go into any comic book store now, any decent one, and still see the same selects some, I don't know, almost 20 years later. And it'd only be this occasional spike like Juggernaut looking incredible. And I remember finding him at my local comic book store, and I was stoked to get him. The Ultron I got much later after market, and I want to talk about him because if you're familiar with the figure, it's a very good looking figure. It's better than anything Legends has done, but it has a similar feel to this guy, and it's just the plastic and the joints. I wish I knew more about plastics to talk about this, but I don't like it. I don't like this plastic. I don't like the, I don't want to say brittleness of it, but there's a hardness to this plastic that I just feel like if I drop this guy, he's going to split. or if I pose him with his leg up, it's gonna dent his crotch or his. I mean, already there's, look at this. I've hardly posed Cap, and he's got these scratches here. It's a very indentable sort of plastic. It's, I don't know why they do this. This Hal over here is my closest figure, and I think this plastic is fantastic. I love touching it. I love posing him. Of course, he does have the rubber diaper, which helps. I don't know how long this will last. Maybe the sun will harden it and it'll crack, but I have no worries about this guy. I can pose him, and I don't feel like I'm gonna mar the plastic, chip any paint or anything. And it looks good, I think. It looks good. This guy looks pretty good. Maybe he looks really good. Maybe I'm just... He looks pretty good. Clean lines here, look. This is actually raised a little bit. His icon there. There's molded details, some molded impressions of the chainmail. The belt loops. There we go, some, I guess you call it pleating of the fabric. Some veins even that are somehow showing up beyond his armor. Yeah. There's some painting going on here in the ridges of his, the bit above his lip, which I think maybe is a bit too much. The proportions are a lot better than he looked in the prototype. I'm beginning to think that that was a different figure, and they must have backpedaled a lot. And the scaling with McFarlane, I mean, I think it's pretty good, actually, him being a super soldier next to this regular guy, Hal. Actually, I'm going to go get the Batman for you. Here's Batsy. I'd say the size difference isn't perfect, and the stylistic difference maybe, they don't gel as well as I'd hoped. But with me becoming a real McFarlane collector, I would like to have more and more Marvel characters in 7-inch scale, especially because I've given up on Hasbro. But anyway, to talk more about this guy, his articulation, it is what you see, but perhaps it delivers less than one would hope. The knees are good. They're sculpted well so that when you bend them, they're still organic looking, you know, they're not chonkas like, let's say, John Stewart, who's got the worst knees in the history of action figures, my goodness. There is a boot cut, a very essential piece of articulation. He has a very hard to move ankle. The paint is kind of pulling on there. And some rotation, and no toe joints, which is always disappointing to me. I think that's laziness, cheapness. That is kind of a common problem I've been talking about. The leg's too long. I mean, the heel should really meet where the butt is. But whatever. Now the hip is a source of complaint here. It resists, but it feels like it's going to get really loose. It's a ball joint. And the Ultron that I talked about before is terribly loose. You can't pose him at all unless he's standing up or leaning on something. And I feel like this is going to be this guy's fate. And the more I turn it, the worse it gets. The more the plastic, I fear, will mar. He can't even kick that high. Well, I suppose that's a right angle. That's pretty decent. And there's not much of a twist in. There's a bit of a twist out. Actually, just a comment while I'm here. There's quite a dirty sort of wash on the boots, which in theory I like, but actually this kind of looks just dirty and damaged and secondhand. And then here's another failure, a cut at the waist, which I guess in theory can be okay, but with a diaphragm like this, which gets hardly any movements, it's just making the whole thing like it's overly rigid. The chest is nicely sculpted, big old chest. The shoulders, this is quite sticky as a joint. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some paint rubbing off somewhere in there. There's a bicep swivel, it's good. Elbows are pretty good. Well, I say pretty good, and then you can't get further than that. Is there any twist there? There's a bit of a twist at the glove. You also get a twist at the wrist. Fist looks good. Some nice paint in there. Very comic-y. And as I say that, there's little pieces of paint that are coming off of my fingers. Probably from the joint there. That's a very clean line. The blue is beautiful. Oh, shivers. And there you go. He's coming to pieces. His little pig hole. That's a nice elevated star. The shield I'm disappointed with. I think it looks kind of crap. It's small for one. I think that's too small. It's already marred and look at this. This is terrible. Oh my gosh. Shocking. The system here is interesting. It looks good. I had to unplug the hand, stick it in there, kind of force it in there, push this through there and rejoin the two. Now this, I suppose this thing comes out. I don't really like messing with this guy. That's another thing. The playability, I don't like playing with him. I just leave him standing there because things are going to come off like paint. He's going to fall over. So this comes off, but this is smaller than that. So I don't see the purpose of this system unless this will come off and then I could put this here. But you can't do that because that looks stupid. That's bigger. So this is kind of a redundancy. I mean, I guess I laud them for putting in some extra technology, but that's seeming like it's unnecessary. Perhaps just to get the rotation in, but that wouldn't make sense with the engineering of it. So I don't know what's going on there, but at least look at that. There's some nice detailing. Some nice detailing there on the inside. This is looking a lot better actually than this. Of course, I haven't used this as much, so you can see scratches. Some impressions of the stars there. And the head, finally. Look at this. Look at this head. Good range of motion here. He's got the ball down there, which I haven't really... See, this thing comes out very easily. Head comes off really easily there, but that's not the point at which you'd want to switch the heads out. You want to switch it out here. Good grief. That was not worth the effort because I'm just never going to display them like this. I don't really want to do this. That is too resistant. I did not enjoy that experience. This black shadow translates pretty well. Like the cell shading thing has been not really much of a success, it seems, in Legends. I think maybe Todd's done it a bit, but this looks pretty good. The ears are nice. Good sculpting. Just once again, the pink and that ridge on his lips are just a bit heavy. His eyes are not quite going straight. But anyway, this is a figure I may sell. So take what you will from that. If you just want a cap to pose next to your other selects or your other McFarlanes, then yeah, he's obviously the one to pick. If you like to carry them around the house like I do, then I wouldn't suggest that this is the guy for you. Thanks for watching my review, and I'll see you at the next one.